Now ring you, Mr. Mulla, our financial protection team. Seven four 432 675. Hi, Karen. It's Mr. Hussain here. I would like to speak to Mr. Mulla.
Yes, just bear with me one moment.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Mr. Mulla. It's Mr. Hussain here.
Yeah.
How are you?
Not bad. And you?
Well, just to confirm that we received the money on Friday.
Good.
So at least that's one thing ticked off with.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to know what your availability is during this week.
Well, I'm off from there Wednesday.
On Christmas Day. So you're in tomorrow?
I am here.
All right. And when are you back after being off on Christmas Day?
Next week.
Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Because obviously people take holidays over the Christmas period, and I didn't know what your availability is like. Now, just to address the other points that I raised with yourself, where we left things were that you were going to contact legal, and I've then subsequently sent yourself emails from Marian Morahan.
Yeah, I've seen those emails.
Yep. And so where are we at with this then?
Well, as you can appreciate, people are going to be off over the period, so they haven't had any response.
Oh, okay, all right. Because as you can appreciate as well, that they've asked me to return the Motability vehicle for my mum. Now, this is obviously very alarming, considering that we only have one vehicle in the house, and I just believe that people are.
Through with, I don't know whether Belgium might be able to help. I don't know. I mean, beyond my control, to be honest.
I know
All we deal with is for the finances. We don't
that's
involve in anything else, kind of thing.
well. I mean, just to put you in the picture. I mean, obviously, I've ringed up Balja and I've been ringing up Balja quite persistently,
Did
and
you not see her on Friday when you picked up the...
that's correct. Yes, I did see her on Friday. Yes, I did wanted to speak to her, but my brother did not want to go up to the offices. So I've been trying to speak to her over the telephone because it's not just the issue with regards to his mobility vehicle now, but it's also regarding his accommodation. Now, this house that we live in is my mother's house on her tenancy, and we need to try to ideally move it onto my brother's name. And what's happening is that everybody seems to be passing me from pillar to post rather than me dealing with the appropriate person. You're not the appropriate person because I understand your remit is very limited in regards to just handling money. In order to make the decision how much money to give and to record that for the benefit of it being audited. So that's very limited.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, but as you can appreciate, I've only contacted you after contacting the DWP, whom have advised me that his appointee is now Bradford Council. And obviously, the only person that I can speak to now, when I've spoken to legal, as you can speak, Kirsten England won't speak to me, and neither would Bev Maybury. And so, therefore, when we've spoken to legal, they've once again railroading me to yourself. And ideally, I need to speak to the decision maker, and I don't believe you are the decision maker who's made the decision to continue to be my brother's appointee. And it's concerning to me when legal are saying, "Oh no, this has got nothing to do with this," because clearly somebody very senior has been liaising with the Dalit and trying to, or the DWP, and informing them about Dalit and him being removed as appointee. So we're in the situation now, which is going to get very critical come January. And all I'm trying to do is avoid that criticalness. Because, or let's just say for argument's sake, Mr. Muller, that the lasting power of attorney which I've provided gets overturned because that's what's happened in my mother's case. And let's say you continue to be the appointee. For argument's sake, let's just say that's a scenario that you're gonna refuse to relinquish your appointee, and we're gonna have to collect money in this scenario. How are you gonna authorize me to take out an agreement, a mobility agreement, on behalf of my brother? It adds an extra level of complexity now.
Okay, well, is your brother entitled to mutability?
Yes, of course he is. Yes, because he's entitled to a vehicle under Motability, and ideally, in the past, I have got vehicles for my mum because we only need one vehicle in the household and that one vehicle doesn't have to be used for one person. It can be used for many people. You see, and part of Talib's main social care issue is social isolation. So in the past, what's been happening, Mr. Mulla, just to give you some context, is that in the absence of DLA payments, DWP payments, which are benefit payments, the local authority have been paying me or Talib £410, in direct payments. So that was payments that that was local authority money, not DWP money. That was for this situation specifically, social care. Yes, and part of that social care involved him going out, so that was to pay for his outings. All right. Now, obviously, because the way that was set up and the way I was receiving the money, the local authority then asked for it to be audited. I refused because there was no contract in place, and they then pursued a legal action against me, of which you're fully aware of, regarding the fraud case. Now, irrespective of my conduct and behavior, once again, let's for argument's sake that I am the fraudster. I fraudulently took that money, which I didn't, because it just kept being piled up and saved, much like what you're doing. So, but even that scenario, my brother still has those legal rights and entitlements, i.e., social care, which is £410 that are not being paid, which is since 2012, which has necessity. So you can understand why the local authority were motivated to. Why the local authority were motivated to convict me unlawfully, because that way they save money, they get all our trust fund money, which they've given now to Talib, and this whole gobbledygook, and now they're trying to take charge of his DWP payments. So, in the context and background of all this, it does not negate that my brother's needs are not correlated with my criminal conviction or my conduct. And those needs were being met privately through myself, and I've made the assertion with the local authority. Look, you've clearly convicted me, and I'm still here providing the services. I think it's unlawful, and therefore I am within my rights to charge you. I'm not doing this for free, and I was providing those services for my brother, utilizing the vehicle that I had in my possession regarding my mother's mobility, and now they're looking to take that vehicle away. So this then leaves, I am now not in a position to provide my brother Talib with that social care support. He needs to go out every day. And this is historically the reason that the local authority have had any involvement. Because my brother in the past has always been at home, and therefore the only social care or social care package that he's entitled to, all right, is daily outings. So those are really need to be discussed with somebody very senior in the council, or a care package like Baljit's senior managers who are refusing to engage with me. Now, so I just wanted to give you some background and context, because obviously it's very important for yourself, if you are acting as my brother's appointee or deputy or whatever, that you know the historical context.
Is Balji not available? I don't know whether she's on leave now.
No, she's on leave from tomorrow. I've rang her up all last week. I did hope to speak to her on Friday. It's just that my brother was refusing to go to the third floor, so they had to come down and give him the money. I anticipated that they would look to at least speak to me or make some sort of appointment, and that they refused to do so. And I think I'm just being passed from pillar to post. Baljit Notice manager is Vicina Brown, who's under the care of service manager Nadia Khan.
That's the mental health team.
Yes, and so therefore they are clearly being negligent, and it's just basically you're a money man, I'm also a money man, and this is all to do with money, all right? Because quite clearly since 2012 they're not paying £410 that my brother was initially entitled to, number one, and that's till today. So that's a saving of £410 weekly that care package is not going in place. They've tried all sorts of other stuff like abducting him and trying to put him into a care home. That hasn't happened. Subsequently, all the payments that they have made, they've got back off me in the tune of maybe 150,000 pounds or more. In addition to that, any savings, the front also had monies accumulated for my brother. So they've taken that money and given it to Adalat, all right. And I've raised a safeguarding, and that's being now marginalised and not being addressed. So this very complex situation is getting more complex by the day, and it doesn't help and assist where you're now refusing to relinquish appointeeship. So I would just like to say, under the circumstances and scenario where you retain appointeeship, how are you going to authorize me to get a mobility vehicle for my brother?
Well, we've arranged the mobility for other people by way of appointees.
Yes, but you've arranged appointees for Talib. But this is I have to come into an agreement, and there's to be cost associated because the vehicles cost more than the mobility. There's a nominal charge of maybe £200-300. And ideally, we have a vehicle here that shouldn't be taken. Ideally, my mum's wishes should be accepted, because what they're trying to do with my mum is trying to say, oh no, because of her dementia, she didn't have the capacity to sign her lasting power of attorney to me, so therefore they were going to remove that, and now we don't feel that it's safe for her to be at home or within the care of my sister in Oldham, and we're going to railroad her into a care home just so they can get £510 off money that they've taken off me in order to benefit a care home which would probably be operated by one of their friends. So the situation is getting very, very complex.
Yeah, but as far as mobility is concerned, your brother's entitled to the DLA element of
That's correct, yes.
So there shouldn't be a problem in organising another mobility vehicle.
Yes, but it's the practicalities. Now, last time, if they take this vehicle away, which they're saying that I need to return in January, there's a Christmas period coming up, and also they may not have the vehicle that we want. Because obviously we've got a Mazda, and this is an ideally suitable vehicle for us as a family. If you're taking this back on behalf of my mother, then we want a similar vehicle, because ultimately you can get very expensive vehicles, but we can't afford them, and we need a vehicle that's appropriate, and this is an ideal vehicle. Yeah, that's correct. Yes. So and then obviously the agreement is going to have to be between myself and the mobility vehicle company. And in this scenario, previously my understanding was that because I am the appointee, I can enter into that agreement. But the complexity is that sorry.
Appointee.
Pardon?
I said if we stay as appointees, then obviously we'd make that agreement with the mobility company.
Yeah, so you'll be making the agreement, but then how will I be the driver?
Well, you can have a named driver. We have vehicles, like I said before. Have vehicles for other clients, and then there are drivers out there who are using that vehicle. I don't personally obviously use the vehicle.
Okay, all right. So, okay, well, will we like to instigate that process then?
Well, I'll need to. I don't know whether there's some form of assessment that needs to be done. I don't know. I'll have to look into it to see how that works.
Well, I mean, you've said that for other. First of all, he needs a mobility vehicle. That assessment has clearly been carried out, because since his discharge back into the community in 2005, that has always been part of his needs. All right, so I'm just concerned and conscious of the fact that you have the local authority, have put certain deadlines where I have to return this vehicle. So any day after me returning this vehicle, he's not getting that support service. That's a failure on your part, then, not you personally. But these assessments can be ongoing. Clearly,
I don't know whether your brother's got a support plan. Has he got?
No, he's got no support plan. Basically, I'm supporting him, and I've told the local authority I'm the one that's going to be invoicing you. So he doesn't have a support plan. I'm his support plan, and my brother has said that he doesn't want the involvement of the mental health team. And so there's loads of like jiggery pokery that is going on. And ideally, all I'm looking to do is to ensure there's stability in the family. By looking to remove the mobility vehicle, you're looking to, in essence, destabilize the family. And then on the same hand, you're tasking me with the responsibility of providing, I'm providing 24-hour care 7 days a week. And when I say providing care in relation to my brother, I'm dealing with he's doubly incontinent. So I'm dealing with personal care 24/7 in addition to meeting all his needs. And so, sorry?
Have any, I don't have any reservations about what you are doing for your brother. Inshallah, Allah
Yes.
will reward you for that, inshallah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to convolute the conversation with religion, but clearly, in the absence of this, this is a secular issue. There are money available. The local authority are holding on to this money and not giving the appropriate care package. And you know what is, Mr. Mullah, a central argument I've had with my brother since he's been discharged. I said, look, a very basic thing. I said, look, carry out a mental capacity assessment. At least then we know that he's got capacity. Now, when he's gone down on Friday to collect his money, he signed his own name. All right. So you've got a copy of him. Whenever he goes and collects his money, he signs his own name. So he's quite capable of signing something. He's quite capable of voting. Nobody's restricting him from voting. And with regards to mental capacity, either it's a degenerative condition like dementia, where you're not likely to improve. All right, so that therefore there are laws in place that intervene where somebody's got dementia and they're losing their capacity to make decisions, and the law comes in and the state comes in to circumvent such issues. My brother does not have dementia; he has mental health problems like schizophrenia. The schizophrenia does not adversely, it's a disturbance of the mind, but it does not affect him making decisions for himself. So that clearly he does not lack mental capacity. But because mental capacity is a grey area, now that's been utilized by the professionals to, undermine Talib's rights and my rights. And ultimately, now it's all about best interest. Is it rather than looking in Talib's best interest, the local authority are now looking to act in their own best interest? Because if my brother has mental capacity and he signed over lasting power of attorney to me, then the whole criminal conviction falls apart. Now, Mr. Mullah, they've spent a lot of money trying to convict me. Yes, and there's a lot of money, so we're talking about over £500,000 here now. So if my criminal conviction gets overturned, not only will all that money come back, but not only will all the costs involved in unlawfully criminally convicting me be incurred, but also there's compensation. So you understand what the motivation of your senior levels are. Now, speaking to you and having dialogue with you, I know from the limited conversation that I have that, first of all, you're an employee and you're trying to do the best that you can under the circumstances. And also, you're a principled person, all right? And you're not going to, you've got a principle and integrity. And I don't have an issue with that, and I recognize that. But your senior managers and the legal team, whom you must follow instructions of, are acting under a nefarious agenda that has victimized my brother Talib and is victimizing my mother presently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the solution is. Like I say, I've flagged your issues up.
Yep.
So, obviously they're going to have a look at that. But I don't know what plan.
Okay, all right. So in the meantime, like I said, they've created a crisis situation now. I've been luckily been trying to stabilize my family. My sister's looking after my mum in the interim. I've been providing care for my brother. He's very distressed. I took him on holiday. There's expenses there, So I'm trying to stabilize the family. And this now mobility vehicle issue is another attempt to destabilize the family. And therefore, I need to act proactively to ensure that once I return this vehicle, I'm in a best position to pick up another vehicle in order for my brother, or alternatively, you, the local authority, will have to provide me with a vehicle. How does that sound?
Well, I don't think the local authority are in the game for providing vehicles.
Yes, well, I mean, obviously, there's a whole issue of insurance then. Because under the Motability scheme, you see, I'm insured. The local authority are not going to be providing me with a vehicle, then clearly they're failing in their duty of care, and there's legal consequences for that. Alternatively, I'm quite happy for them to insure me on a vehicle in the interim while I get the Motability vehicle. But they, in essence, have instructed my mum's solicitors to withdraw the Motability vehicle in the background and on the context of my mother not receiving any of her DWP benefit money for a whole year now. My mom's not received any DWP money. You know, like how for my brother, I'm collecting the money on behalf of my brother with my brother. For Talib, my mom is not collecting any money from the DWP because my sister refuses to accept the money other than for the money to come to me. Now, the only money that my mom's benefit money to was properly being utilized for the Motability vehicle, which they've also instructed her the solicitors to now remove. So these problems are being created by the council.
Well, I think ideally what you should be doing is talking to Balkit and see if they can sort something out as part of your vehicle requirements.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, that once again, it's all about engaging people. Now, I'm taking up your time. This time doesn't need to be taken up. I'm very, very grateful that you're looking to engage with me. They're not willing to do that. Ideally, the person I need to be speaking to is Bev Maybury.
Balkit had to say you want to talk to her and discuss things with you, so hopefully she'll contact you.
Yes, but I've just called her today.
All I can do.
I know. But the reality is that this problem is being created by Bev Maybury. All right, she's the one that's creating the problem. But then she's like, you know, like a general. She's sending her troops forward and asking me to speak to other people so she can hide behind the corporate veil while she's passing instructions to people to destabilize my family in order for them to justify their historical actions. So, you know, everybody's being utilized here, and that person that I need to speak to is Bev Maybury. And Bev Maybury said to me that there are only these key people that I can speak to, like Bali, like yourself, maybe. Those are like no due disrespect. Excuse me. No disrespect to yourself, but you're like Bev Maybury's foot soldiers. Because you're engaging your field workers engaging with the members of the public, whereas ideally the Bev Maybury should be engaging with me because both issues of my mum and my brother are the same issues. And so Bev Maybury was quite happy for all these issues to be amalgamated in order to convict me. But now that conviction's happened, now she's looking to compartmentalize, saying, "Oh, that's to do with your brother. This is to do with your mother, and they're different." They're not different. I'm the carer for both of them. And so, therefore, the ideal person I need to be speaking to is Bev Maybury, and even the city solicitors. I've tried to speak to Parveen Akhtar or even Kirsten England, but these very senior people seem to live in their own ivory tower, and they're refusing to engage with me, and yet, you know, sending their troops out, i.e., you know, different people. And when I'm speaking to Baljit, and they're saying, "I'm sorry, but we're limited in what we can engage with you with." So it's done by deliberately, and much like yourself, I don't think that you're acting nefariously, but you're within your rights to say, "Look, Mr. Hussain, my remit is very limited," but that is under stratagem. The senior managers are strategizing that you won't be able to discuss all these other issues with me, and I need to speak to somebody in a senior level to try to resolve these issues because they're not getting resolved.
Well, look, all I can do, like I said before, is I'll drop Balkit a note to see if he may be able to speak to you about
Okay.
the portability.
Okay, because Balja also needs to deal with the accommodation issue.
Yeah, well, I'll mention that as well.
Okay, all right. Now, with regards to this safeguarding issue, I received a letter from Vicina Brown in October saying that we can't progress that until the court, till you in the financial protection team pursue the court order. All right, so there's still a central issue regarding a safeguarding alert that I raised in August. You know, saying that my brother has, is financially abusing my brother Talim. So that still is something that needs to be investigated.
Well, I've already flagged that up, like I said before. You know, when you talked about it last week, I flagged these things up.
Yep.
It's up to legal in terms of how they want to respond to that.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I mean, because the present situation is one where there was nothing wrong happening and you, the local authority, have made stuff up and said something wrong is happening, like I'm financially abusing my brother, all right, only for that very scenario for you to bring about now by getting my brother by getting Adalat, placing Adalat into a situation where he's now abusing, financially abusing. So this complexity is created because you, the council, try to do something that's not true. I'm living with my brother. I've been living with him since 2004. I'm providing him support service, fully engaging the council, fully engaging social workers, fully engaging healthcare professionals, going to visits and appointments. And you said, no, no, because those payments that were being made. And I'm just going to look to end the call, and I'm conscious of the fact that, and I'm very grateful that you've given me your time. So I'm going to end the call now. But the reason that the criminal conviction happened is that because I told you there were £410 weekly going to my brother. Pardon? As direct payments. Now, as part of direct payments, those payments needed to be annually audited. For 5 years, the local authority didn't audit the account, and they didn't put me in charge formally. They didn't put me in under a contract. They were formally paying Talib that money. All right. So for 5 years, they didn't audit the account, and so that money had accumulated over that time because I didn't spend it. Because I couldn't spend it because I didn't know what legal grounds I was utilizing that money. So for 5 years they didn't audit the account. Now this looks very bad on the local authority, and I then approached my MP David Ward regarding this and looked to whistleblow on this systemic failure, and that's why everything kicked off. So you can understand that the reason for my conviction is this. Okay, Mr. Muller, thank you for your time, and I'll look to speak to you hopefully next week.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muller. Thank you. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.